Hi, it's Diane Brennan. Welcome to Aging Dynamically. And in today's Wellness Wednesday video, I want to talk a little bit about my defining moment in my life, the moment that impacted me so much it changed my life forever. So, to do that, I have to start first with a little bit of background. Um, Back in my 20s and 30s, I was a medical assistant, and then the doctor I worked for actually suggested I really needed to go to nursing school, that I could be more than that, and encouraged me to do that. So I first made a lateral move to being a nurse's aide because I needed to make sure I had the stomach for nursing school. Um, in seventh grade, when we did dissection, we were only dissecting clams, which I ate all the time because I was born and raised on the New England seacoast, and I had to dissect like this by taking notes while the rest of my team did the dissection. Okay, I had no stomach for doing that. Kind of funny, but true. Could eat a clam, couldn't dissect a clam. Go figure. So anyway, um, I did fine as a nurse's aide, and so I did eventually go ahead and go to nursing school. Now, sadly, during nursing school, my second divorce happened, and I ended up losing my foundation from under me. I mean, I had been working full time to support a family of four because my ex-husband, my husband at the time, was fighting for disability. We had two small children, and I was going to school full time. So when my support system fell out from under me as our marriage crumbled and we filed for divorce, that impacted me, because obviously that put me under a lot of stress, and I just could not complete that semester of nursing school, and I was on Pell Grants, so I couldn't go back. I couldn't go back onto Pell Grant, and I couldn't, anyway, I was never able to return to nursing school. So fast forward years later, I met a man that I was dating. He was 50 and had never been married. I was in my 40s. I had been divorced 3 times by then. We were never getting married. And then he started getting sick. And we got married because we needed to find out what was going on. I mean, he had something growing on the side of his neck, and we needed to find out what that was. We were pretty sure what it was from just doing some internet research. And sure enough, we were right. It was laryngeal cancer. He was a smoker. He was a heavy drinker. And that's how it presented. That was the result of living that kind of life for so many decades. And I walked out of that office when we got that diagnosis that he had stage 4 laryngeal cancer. I walked out ready to fight. He walked out ready to die. They gave him a 10% chance to live. So I started doing research. Then came the defining moment. And that was the moment that we were in for one of his treatments, and one of his doctors looked at me and said, it's not the cancer that kills you, it's the chemo that does. And I was dumbfounded. I mean, I just looked at him and I said, then why do we do this? And he said, well, we try to kill the cancer before it kills you. Or before we kill you, I'm sorry. We tried to kill the cancer before we kill you. Think about that. That is what the FDA has approved. That and getting radiation, which is something that, radiation exposure actually causes cancer, right? Hence x-rays, you to wear the lead aprons and stuff, or you used to. Now they have it down to very low amounts, but you used to have to wear a lead apron every time you went in for any kind of x-ray, right? Because it was radiation. They monitor radiation levels for radiation techs. Okay. This is what the FDA approves. I found out through doing research that there were over 400 cures. Now that's 19 years ago. At that time, over 400 cures for cancer that your doctor would never tell you about. One, because I found out that chemotherapy is the only class of drugs for which they get a substantial profit. Not just the kickbacks from the reps of taking them out to dinner and sending them on vacations and stuff. They actually make a profit on chemotherapy. Two, because if they do recommend any of the natural cures, they can lose their medical license. There's something very wrong with that. That there are 400 and some things out there that can actually cure cancer, and the FDA in this country only approves 2 methods that are actually known not to do that. Most chemotherapies, they actually have a pathway, like that chemo treatment for breast cancer. I have a friend who died of breast cancer, and this is what she had found out. That, yeah, the second time she had cancer in her lymph nodes was because of the first chemotherapy she had. That took care of the one cancer, caused the next one. That chemotherapy then caused the next cancer, which was the one that finally killed her. They know this, which is why oncologists, by the way, do not do chemotherapy. They don't follow their own protocols if they get cancer. They go to a doctor of naturopathy, which, after my husband died, I went to school to be a doctor of naturopathy. Now, sadly, I wasn't able to complete that either. Life keeps getting in the way of me getting, like, I don't have a whole bunch of any kind of letters behind my name because life gets in the way of that for me. So, it is what it is. But I have studied far longer than most people do because I had never stopped over the 19 years that it's been since that journey began. I'm still studying and reading. Anyway, that really did impact me because that did make me decide to go to school to be a doctor of naturopathy. It did make me start learning because one of the books that I got in my course was this. Whoops, I'll put it on this side. Our Toxic World. This was a wake-up call, as it says. It really was. If you're a little bit of a science nerd and geek like me, it's a very interesting book. And it talks about how our world is so toxic. You wonder why babies have developed cancer, or very young children today. It's because they're getting the toxins in through their mother's body that crosses through the umbilical cord. So in the womb, we're already, in today's world, getting exposed to toxins. There's the fact that your skin is the largest organ of your body, and everything that goes on your skin gets into your bloodstream. Everything penetrates your skin. It breathes. It's an organ that breathes. So all of the toxins in the world as you're going around, if you live in a city, all of that toxic air is going right in through your skin to your bloodstream. Everything you breathe in goes into your olfactory nerves and into your brain. Microplastics are doing that now because they're in the air. They're in the water. They're in the soil. The Sahara Desert has microplastics, where the Bedouins still live the way they've lived for thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of years. And yet, microplastics, deep in the ocean. We can probably find them in the Mariana Trench. So I'm still like, I keep researching. I am using products. We can't eliminate 100% of toxins out of our life. It's impossible, okay? You can't do it. Again, they're in the air, right? So unless you're going to live in a bubble, you cannot eliminate 100% of the toxins. But you can make choices for the products that you use, the food that you eat, for choosing to use things that can actually heal and restore your body to offset some of this damage so that you can age more dynamically and age better. You don't, you know, there are two ways to go into old age. And I'm going to show you a picture of this, this really, is it? No, it's not. Okay, it's better this way. Okay. You look at this. Sorry, a bunch of reflection. Both of those women are 80 years old. Who do you want to look like when you're 80? I know who I want to look like. I want to look like the woman on the left. A lot more than the one on the right, for sure. My mother looks way worse than the one on the right. And she's another thing that has definitely impacted me, is to see how she has aged and to say, okay, you know what? My life needs to change. So I will be talking more and more about like non-toxic products, how to change out the things that you use. But if you want to know specific products, I have to be very, very careful on this channel. I can't name specific toxic products because I could face lawsuits for libel and slander. I'm not going to do that and call out specific products and companies by name. I'm not going to name publicly what I use because I can get the FDA on me. I have to be very careful what I claim if I name the product. So I have to be, I'm having to be kind of careful here what I say about what. One-on-one, I can have more in-depth conversations. I can tell you specific products that I use, companies that I partner with. Choice is yours from there. Yes, I am a partner with these companies. So when I recommend them, yes, I get paid if somebody decides to join me in using these products. But when we have that conversation, the choice is yours. And from then, I'm here if you have any more questions, if you decide to move forward, whatever, but you're not going to ever find me pursuing you after that. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask me, okay? Because I can't answer questions with specific things in the comments either, for the same reason I have to be careful in my videos. Okay? That's public then. It has to be private one-on-one. I can say a lot more and speak a lot more freely one-on-one. So send me an email. Set up a discovery call with me. Let's talk about how I can help you to make choices to age more dynamically. And like and subscribe to, like this video, subscribe to my channel if you want to keep seeing the content I do put out there, because I will put a lot of content out there where I can speak about things. We're going to talk about diet and lifestyle, and we are going to talk about products. There are natural things I can talk about, like vinegar and baking soda as alternatives. So there's a lot of good content that's going to be coming up on this channel. There's going to be a lot of information from books like this and other books I've read, like Dead Doctors Don't Tell Lies. um, and, and things. There are books I will recommend if you want to reach out and grab them. You're also going to find I'm a little bit of science and a little bit of woo-woo, okay? Because I'm all about law of attraction and stuff too, and how a positive attitude impacts your health and well-being and how you age, because and how your life goes. So there's going to be a lot of really good content on here, because I can talk for hours about this stuff. So I'm going to try to keep the videos kind of short, like my first one and like this one, but give you a whole bunch of information over the course of the life of this channel, which hopefully will be around for a long time. All right. So thank you very much for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Much love. Many blessings. Peace out.